space is a place for us.
Real people with real issues.
Discussing real topics.
Black space.
A safe space for our community.
And the shoulder talk is so Black.
And the dap, the way the fellas dap each other up.
Yes.
You got to bring it in, though. You got to bring it in. You got to bring it in.
Got to bring it in.
So we have a comment. I feel like I'm the Facebook commentator and everyone.
Please be.
Okay. So Monique, hi Monique. I was doing some research on hoodoo and voodoo, and the books that people were referencing were written by white people, and many of the blogs are from them as well. They try not to acknowledge the origins, or they portray the African origins to be something of a rumor.
Yeah, because that's what white historians do. And that's why we have to be careful how hard we stand for anything we call ourselves believing in, because no matter what it is, whether it be Christianity, Islam, or even African sciences, spiritual sciences, there are white people behind the literature with all of this stuff. Don't come to me talking about hieroglyphics if you're not quoting Black archaeologists, because who interpreted the hieroglyphics? Like, white people's interpretations of history are so in everything that we have to acknowledge that and be mindful of that as we research whatever we research, and as we weigh in the balance the literature we read. Because if it does not acknowledge the origins, then it's either not comprehensive or it's not honest, and that's not a reliable text.
You know, one of the things you have to always remember is the victor gets to tell the story, right? So whoever conquers a place, whoever invades a place, they're going to write what they want to write in the history books and make it seem as if, there was something different, right? The interesting thing is we going to Bible study and Sunday school and looking at the movies, you saw the Pharaoh beating the slaves and Moses had to free the Hebrew slaves. Great experience when you get there and you find out there were no slaves in Egypt, right? And every worker that built pyramids had a pyramid next to the king's pyramid or the queen's pyramid, and all their worldly possessions were in there, and they're in the museums in Cairo. So, but they had to tell the story like that because when Alexander the Great and Constantine and all those folks invaded Africa, they enslaved people. Right. So you got to say, these people are really bad. We're just doing what they did. So the victor gets to tell the story.
Right. And we also have to become the definers. We have to take those narratives back. And
absolutely.
In a very deliberate and a conscious manner, for sure.
We have to be the author of our own history, right? And it's interesting when you see no knock on PWIs, but if you're looking at a study on the Black community, why are we not getting the research from HBCUs, from researchers and folks that look like us that have been in our scenarios versus going to Harvard to get a study on the Black culture in Detroit?
Well, you know why? I attended an HBCU. The funding for that kind of study isn't there because Black people don't give to HBCUs. And so people use the research that's available. And we all have more to do because we all have to take ownership of our own narrative, our own education, our own outcomes, economically, socially, to the extent that we are able. And we've been lied to about how much we are able, all of us.
Right.
And so even with historically Black colleges and universities, we are all able to contribute. That's how Tuskegee University got started. The entire community contributing, even though the community never planned to set foot on a campus or read a book. A lot of those people couldn't read, but the community was concerned about the literacy of the community and the children. So you don't have to attend an HBCU to contribute to an HBCU. You Black. Right. If you want Black people to succeed and be educated, you should give to HBCUs. Why? Because Blackness. But that's not our culture yet, not universally, not at scale, but that's what we're here trying to do, is develop some better cultural practices and perspectives so that we can continue to grow.
Man, that just a great segue into this awesome plug, right? Just imagine if 44 million of us donated $1 a month. That's $44 million every single month, right? To go to HBCUs, Black businesses, all of these great things. It's just $1. You can find out more at www.ownthevision.com.
I think I hear the Black Space College Fund coming into fruition.
Just $1.
No, but that's a good point though. And I think we do give, but I think the way that we give is different than the way that people give to PWIs. And we're still trying. I didn't attend an HBCU, by the way, so I don't want to make it say I'm an advocate of HBCUs, but I didn't attend one. But being an advocate and being an observer, if we stop trying to mimic their systems and the way that they do things, then we may have. There's another way to do it.
Yes.
Even if it's just selling HBCU T-shirts or something like that, they're getting it at the CIAA in Charlotte every year. The HBCU, somebody is getting money at these games and at these conferences. But if we continue to wait for the alumnus to give to HBCUs the way that alumnus give to PWIs, then we're probably setting ourselves up for disappointment year after year.
Well, and it goes back to, you don't have to worry about the alumni or the alumnus giving back, right? Again, there's 44 million of us in the United States alone. 44 million giving $1. $1 a month. That's $44 million a month. You don't have to worry about everybody giving 1,000 here, 100 here, this great donation, $12 a year, right? So we just have to bite that elephant in small pieces, and then we can make change. Differently also to the PWIs, there are no Fortune 500 companies that were started that was Black, right, in this country. So their donor match and all these different things that PWIs have is a little different. So going to your point, right, we have to think and show up differently, right? Don't depend on everyone that went to the school to donate, you know, $100 here, $1,000 here, this capital campaign here. The little elephants. Think about the Obama campaign, the $5 here, the $10 there, multi-millions raised in no time. And we can change that narrative and show that Black excellence that we have by dropping small gems.
Right.
Well, you know what? Cynthia actually commented something similar to that, and I missed her comment, but it kind of fits with what you said. Historical oppression has always been confirmation of our excellence. Only those who are consumed with fear of inadequacy and annihilation can consistently, vigorously oppress. And I think the problem that happens is the majority of the people, they think there's such a huge problem, and they do have that fear, and they don't know that if I just contribute that $1 or 50 cents or whatever it is that they're able to do, it's not going to make a difference, because they're consistently hearing the narrative that the small amount is not going to help, and they see everyone else throwing pots and pots of money into their organizations and things that they support. So as soon as we are able to empower ourselves to know, okay, that $1 is adequate, yes, we'd be able to combine, you know, our resources and do something like that.
And the other thing, tell your Black athletes, I don't care if you are a 5-star athlete or 2-star athlete. If you're good enough to go pro, you're going to go pro. The majority of the people are not going to go pro anyway. Right. So why don't you take your talents to HBCU? You change the system overnight. NCAA sports will change overnight.
The homecoming games are struggling so hard.
I mean, if you look at it,
terrible white schools for homecoming. Please, Black athletes go to the HBCU so my homecoming can be good.
The professional sports, the majority look like us, right? You know, if you look at that, when we talk about great things about being Black, the Negro League from baseball, that's why they allowed Black players to go into national baseball as well as football, because the talent was there, right? 75% of the NFL is Black, 73% of the NBA is Black. So clearly, you're going to make it if you go to a PWI or HBCU.
Yep.
Send your time, your talent, and your money to the HBCU, and I guarantee you will change the course of how we do business, how we look at things. That's it. The NCAA is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, right? You send all that to HBCU. Who's watching Alabama next week?
Yep.
Who's watching the University of Miami, Oklahoma? Everybody's going to be watching FAMU, Howard, Morehouse, Southern, Grambling. You gonna tell me you gonna tell me your HBCU?
The nonverbal communication.
Yeah, the nonverbal communication. Can you tell me so I don't miss your Hampton or Valley State?
Only because.
Please don't tell me you went to Bethune.
Over our time.
Please don't tell me you went to Bethune.
No, I went to Tennessee State University.
Oh Lord Jesus, hold on, you.
Excuse me.
Don't do her.
I'm sorry.
You about to get her riled up, bro.
Sorry.
Don't do her.
I should have worn a different shirt today.
There's some tigers in black space. Don't do me.
I won't.
Okay.
You could have come down the street to Tallahassee.
Coulda.
Cynthia says not enough Black athletes are groomed in high school by Black coaches. Jason,
think
I want to hear your opinion on that.
I would beg to differ, right? They're groomed by black coaches, but not giving the tools to be successful. Because those same black coaches are telling them to go to the Alabamas, to the Dukes, to the LSUs and of the world. They're not being told, like those are the same people saying, if you want a shot, that's where you're going to get the shot.
I mean, many of those black coaches are really just brown and black skinned white coaches. That's the way they behave. That's the way they.
Well, are they being pragmatic though? Are they trying to give these young men practical advice based on what's true today as opposed?
I was going to say.
I think they're giving them advice based on what they know, right? And then also you have to put into account you have to make a sacrifice right now. For success, you're going to have to sacrifice, right? So if
not everybody wants to sacrifice.
And that's the problem. If all the players want to go to an HBCU, you're going to have to sacrifice. When I first went to Florida A&M, I was going as a basketball recruit. They didn't have a strength and conditioning coach at that time for basketball. And my high school had a strength and conditioning coach. You would have to make a sacrifice, though, to say, once these athletes get here, the money will be there. But who is willing to make that sacrifice for the first?
Are you in a financial position, or was your family in a financial position for you to make that kind of sacrifice and you still feel secure about your future? It's one thing to sacrifice a potential future of like great wealth when you know that you'll at least be okay, and sacrificing that for the cause and the culture and the people and the movement when you don't know what you're gonna do.
And
you don't come from anything.
Well, to that vein, if you're gonna make it, their facilities are not gonna make you make it.
Black Space, a safe space for our community.